Hello and welcome back to Privilege Check, a podcast where two girls from different backgrounds come together to unveil the reality of modern society. I'm Loveleen.
And I'm Shivan.
In this episode of the Unscripted series for Privilege Check, we are going to be talking about the ridiculous things that we have heard and encountered in this past month. And we're actually beginning the month of October with an unscripted, and this is how we're going to go forward as well.
Yeah. So, Loveleen's going to give a background about this, obviously, but like she's going to speak about this in detail. But we just give you like an idea of what really the theme of today's episode really is. We're going to talk about like state systems, basically like something basically about like the law and the court and justice system in India, and the peculiar cases they take up rather than taking up cases regarding life and threat to life or protecting people. This literally require protection from harm and whatnot. So yeah, Lovely's gonna go in detail about it, but yeah.
Right. So the one case that we really want to talk about is about this woman who sued Yashraj Films for not playing the Jabra fan song during the screening of of Shah Rukh Khan's movie Fan. I think the name was Fan, if I'm not wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this woman took it to the Supreme Court. Took it to the Supreme Court to sue them. And apparently, why this whole ruckus of suing a production company for not playing a song? Apparently, her apparently her children were looking forward to listening to the song during the movie, and they didn't get it. So then they threw a tantrum, and they didn't eat, and they starved. Unfortunately, they didn't die, but they got really sick. So, which is why she took it to the Supreme Court, which is like the apex court, okay? Like the highest justice authority in India. And she took it to them to say that, hey, you know what, let's sue Yashraj Films. And you know what, you would think that, hey, Supreme Court has better things to do, right? Like there are people in jail waiting for a hearing. There are people in the prison who may possibly not be guilty waiting for a hearing. There are murderers on loose. Politicians की तो बात करने की जरूरत नहीं है, but all of this, but Supreme Court is like, how चलो मिलते हैं, महफिल जमेगी, let's discuss your case. No, it's like how Shivangi and I would meet to play games but not record a podcast. That's exactly what the Supreme Court did. They were like, yeah, let's like meet up, we'll chill, samosa lekar aao, let's see why Yashraj Films couldn't like include Jabra fan into the film.
Yeah, it's a matter of national importance, definitely,
Of
that
course.
a song has been excluded from a medium that absolutely nobody consumes anymore, except probably people like that women of the time to fight cases like seasons of the.
Also, like, movie कितने की देखी होगी? 300-400 रुपए की, right?
Yeah.
And imagine how much money it must have taken to sue somebody like Yashraj Films.
Yeah.
This is not even like an era small time production house. It's Yashraj Films. Everybody knows it.
It's just so stupid, honestly, that a case, first of all, obviously, the entire aspect of filing a case like this is very stupid when there are like probably billion other problems, billion other causes she could be fighting for. There's literally from A to Z, I could name causes that require attention
like
in India right now.
Extreme mamta jaguti hai. Extreme mamta. Like, what is this motherhood? Just okay, like just smack your kid 2 times and feed them. They'll just be fine.
Maybe give them a childhood like mine, and they'll be like on the line, and they probably won't even cry in front of you. Dare cry in front of you. What rubbish! Like I literally, this is when I start sounding like a 60-year-old, and I sound like somebody who's like fits the criteria to be cancelled on Twitter. But I genuinely think this entire, babying and mothering kids is just like a whole different problematic concept because you're just not making kids independent. But that's a whole conversation I'm gonna have in like some other
But
episode.
yeah, but also I think it's, even though it's like a different topic, what we're aligning into, what we're diving into, but I genuinely feel we sound like we sound like extremists when we say that just smack your kids, they'll be all right. But come on, imagine taking to the Supreme Court because you couldn't be a responsible mother and just knock sense into your kids. Imagine doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't even require abuse, honestly. Like you just need to have like a very, very strong kind of personality and a very dead set ki agar if you even try to argue about the alternative, I'll cut you into pieces. Like that kind of personality a mother needs to have if kids are whining like this. The kids
Yeah.
whine so much nowadays. Like, how do they have so much guts demanding all of these, getting sick because they didn't like see a stupid song? I mean, like, what's going on in these people's lives? Are they not? Why are they so happy that this
Also,
song
like
and
this
these
is the
most of their
era.
hobbies?
Also, this is during the era of the digital, right? Where they could just watch the song on YouTube n number of
Yeah,
times.
yeah, dude, they could just edit the song into the movie. Kids know more technology than us, okay? They could
Yeah,
just edit. These editing softwares come basic यार हमारे phone पे तुम like pirated version install कर लो and then just like put the damn song, you get your utopia. What is this entire deal of like taking it to Supreme Court and shit? Like
yeah.
it's just so
Also, this whole
unnecessary.
idea that the kids didn't eat, starved, got sick, and were hospitalized. How is a mother like not letting this child eat for n number of hours
Yeah,
or
like how is
days?
she
Like
just like, oh, बच्चे ने ना बोल दिया, so I'm just gonna like retreat.
I
I'm
know,
just gonna
right?
listen to him. I'm gonna give him this space. Like what? This is why I'm pretty sure this is a Gen Z parent. Like I'm just so
Yeah.
sure this is a Gen Z parent because this is exactly how they talk about raising their kids, giving them space and whatnot.
Yeah, but like it doesn't
Also,
make sense. Your kid is not
yeah,
eating. How have you just completely ignored their existence? And okay, I'm all for like let your kids be, but also like I don't see the scenario working out to the extent that they got hospitalized. And imagine this is like the age of a child who is really tiny because imagine nobody over the age of 8 is going to whine about a song not being in a film. Firstly,
yeah,
just imagine not being able to control an 8-year-old and just
this is what happens when
this is
like the government doesn't launch like a mother's eligibility test. Like
yeah,
they should go through this, see
yeah,
whether they fit for
not just
something like
mother
this.
Shivangi, like
Yeah,
parents
yeah,
eligibility test
that,
hona chahiye. We
yeah,
strongly believe that every
yeah,
parent in order to like have a baby you need to pass you some tests. एक degree जैसे मिलता है ना to get a job,
yeah.
you need to get a degree to like be a
You need
parent.
it needs to be the difficulty level of like NEET and JEE. We need to like
Yeah,
put this up on that difficulty level. And
yeah,
honestly, like another thing this case reminds me of is like how in America it's so easy to like sue people for like the silliest things like somebody there honk a little too much and you can just probably make a mental harassment case. And like this case particularly reminds me of that shift, and that is not all healthy because we're exhausting like state infrastructure and state resources to talk about
exactly.
cases that are not even relevant to a like large population, right? Nobody like you ask go to somebody in like Bihar, you just talk to Maharashtra, just go to like a gaon in Maharashtra and just ask them, do you really care about the fact कि गाना है कि नहीं fan वाले movie में? They probably don't
Shivangi,
even know what fan. What
outside
rubbish is
that no outside that family, do you think anybody cared?
nobody. Nobody. So that's what's very wild to me, when there's like no demand for cases like these, why the hell would Supreme Court even dare take a court
Addressing
hearing?
it,
Like,
that's what I
yeah,
don't like. You're wasting time doing all of this. It makes absolutely no sense. Like what could have possibly gone wrong? I really need to know the amount that uh Yashraj Films was sued for.
like I really don't understand why it has. I'm like not saying that the court is like whatever bad or whatever. I'm not saying that judgment is like anything. I'm just saying that it's doesn't make sense when there are possibly other cases that demand attention, and then like you are addressing something like this. It's just, I mean, it's also like the thing that the entire thing about, you know, I really hate the fact that lawsuits have become very accessible to a not accessible, but it has become very easy to fight a lawsuit. Like you don't even, it's not accessible still, definitely, but it has become very easy to just sue people in India right now, and I don't like it because it's
Yeah,
dumb.
it's all
We're
about
wasting.
money, Shivangi. It's simple.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
you have money, you
yeah,
can do whatever you want. At the end of the
yeah,
day, capitalism rules.
yeah. That's the thing, right? Like the elite class is kind of expanded right now in India. I feel like that's what's happening. People have resources to spend on expenses like this, which is like the wildest
I
thing to me at all. And
I hate to interrupt, but I just looked up how much she got paid for it.
yeah, how much did she get paid?
Like, do you want to take a wild guess of the number?
Is it in crores?
No,
Little less or little, okay. Is it in millions?
no,
Lakhs?
no. Exactly. 10K.
What?
She got paid 10K for it.
She must have paid way more to just file the lawsuit, and
Yeah,
you're telling me she settled for 10K?
yeah. I I
I
bet like
don't
the
hate this woman.
hospital, if it was a private hospital, हॉस्पिटल बिल में ही 10K ऐसे ही निकल गए होंगे.
Yeah, dude, you just go for a full body scan in a private
Yeah,
hospital. If you even go in a hospital that is like administered by a trust, okay, that doesn't
yeah.
take the money that it takes, okay, they'll also charge you 10K for full body scan. What rubbish is it? Also, like, I really want to meet this woman. Like, what is going on with her life? Why is this like the
Yeah.
top of a
How was she?
priority?
How bored was she with her kids?
Yeah,
At first, she was
I
like
highly
boring. Yeah,
doubt
छोड़ो
that she
रहने
was
दो.
sick as well. Yeah. Do you
She
ever
feels
think
like
about the fact
a
that the kid
Bollywood
was,
wife.
yeah, like I don't think this kid was even sick, honestly. Like wild theory, but I think that she just like forged a doctor's note or something, and she was the one who was annoyed that the song was in there. And then she was like, "Oh, that's too embarrassing because I'm an adult, so I'm just gonna blame it on the kid." Like I'm
But
damn sure this is what happened.
that's essentially what every parent does. Okay, they're like, this is embarrassing for me, so
Yeah,
I'm going to blame it on my kid. I think
that's
that's
what
why
they do.
people
That
have kids.
yeah,
They're like, कोई
yeah,
बलि का बकरा चाहिए, right?
yeah. Because it makes no sense. I haven't met a single like below 8 year old who's like a fan this big of a song. Like
Bro,
nobody cares.
a fan of an SRK song. Let's be quite specific here.
Aren't they like obsessed with, I don't know what kids are interested in, obviously. Like I've been interacted with kids. People like, come on, there has to be, is SRK even relevant to kids anymore? Like कहाँ से उठ के आए हैं ये लोग मुझे नहीं समझ आ रहा है.
I don't get it. I don't get it how this craze emerged in these kids, apparently kids.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think they were like, मेरे बच्चे को problem हो रही है, let's go Supreme Court. So it's just pathetic to know that. Like, I don't think like my parents would even go to the teacher if like I had a problem. They would possibly tell me to deal with it on my own first. And if I couldn't,
Yeah.
then maybe like think of talking to the teacher or something.
I wouldn't even tell my parents if I have a
Yeah,
problem. That's how fake
that's
communication
a
that
whole
went off.
different thing. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
I literally ever since a kid, I've never gotten my parents involved, especially not over a song, not being a part of the movie. Come on, like that's just so pathetic.
hmm,
And I'm sure it's not the kid. I'm like telling you right now, it's not the kid. No kid is like that. I like that moment. And wait, if I say something, that woman will like listen to the podcast and she'll start suing us as well. See, how dare they
yeah,
call me a
yeah.
liar?
Like
Then she
every
gets
time I'm saying something, I'm also like super scared of saying something because I don't have even
yeah,
10K like to just give away. Like I feel like
yeah,
my blood boils if I have to think like 10K dena hai. But like for them, like if you think of on a Supreme Court scale, nobody, कोई लाख में तो सोचेगा, right? Somebody would think like at least in lakhs the conversation is about lakhs. This
Yeah.
10K sounds like a Dahej family court case sort of a thing.
It's like weird, right?
लोगों
Because
का
I'm just
दहेज
wondering
इससे
how
ज्यादा
did they
जाता है.
बहुत ज्यादा लोगों का दहेज
Exactly.
करोड़ में से जाता है. Okay.
That's what I'm
I just want to
saying.
talk about dahej because like I can go on and on about it, courtesy of the amazing pedigree I have been born into. But like this, I'm just wondering how did the lawyer even settle for 10,000? Like how did the lawyer like get the court to get the other Yash Raj films to even be like, यार 10,000 तो दे दो बच्चा like hospital में था तबीयत खराब थी. How did they do that? Like this is some
How was
great
it?
power in lawyers.
I imagine it as, this whole conversation of two lawyers on a table, shifting, the sliding the thing, and somebody just wrote 10K.
Yeah. They're like negotiating like,
Like,
gold
what
and
is
heaven.
the average income of an undergrad intern?
Yeah.
That's what you charge. That's
Yeah.
not
I
even like
don't
an
understand.
intern of like science and medical or anything. No. Like some chomu course, like a media student intern. Let's
Yeah.
just take that salary and like let's just slide that in.
Yeah. I really like I want to understand how did they even convince Yashraj like to be like, yeah.
I
They
bet
can like give 10,000.
like the production house was like 10,000 घर पर आ जाते बस यूं ही मैं निकाल कर दे देता 10,000. I bet like for
They could
Yashraj
they should have just
10,000 is
come.
nothing.
Yeah, but they should have just come for like what is that thing? I think Shrad or is it is it during Makar Sankranti as well? Like we give like how do I say this nicely?
I was
Upper
like,
caste like yeah. Upper caste like give best like no khana to poor people or bhikaris like on the road.
श्राद्ध में करता
Nah,
है वो तो पता है.
yeah, Shrad and even Makar Sankranti or like some other thing I'm confusing with.
दिवाली
But
में
they
भी
should
तो
have just done
दिवाली
that.
देते हैं ना.
No, we don't. We only give दूध पे because इतना पैसा नहीं है. But like
Yeah,
that,
क्योंकि like पैसे
सब
खत्म हो
में
गए
देना
बस.
होता है. हाँ, सब में देना होता है technically हम नहीं देते हैं. But like they should have just done that. 10,000 से ज्यादा मिल जाता है यार. खाना भी
Bro,
मिल
I'm
जाता
just
है.
thinking 10,000 would possibly like the salary bonus somebody is getting in working for like the spot
Yeah,
boy in
Diwali
Yashraj
bonus.
Productions is getting as a bonus.
Yeah. Or so, or they probably made they probably made a commitment ki, I'll take your bacha as sport boy when they turn a certain age, but I'm just gonna give you 10,000 rupees right now for it, like some weird like
Yeah.
rubbish
But
negotiation
they
like
won't call
that.
it sport buy. They'll call it set executive or something like that.
Hanji. Yeah, I'll give it a fancy name. So,
Yeah.
but like, just please don't talk about the fact that we didn't keep the song. Okay, it's like really hurting our publicity right now. You're a threat. Imagine. I'm sure that's what they.
What if like the whole thing was a publicity stunt?
Anyways, I think we have like trolled this woman a lot, and Laveen and I, like we've established before, we do not have the finances to actually fight a lawsuit. If we had, we would have just bought a mic, but we don't have finances, so we're not going to talk about this woman anymore. In all seriousness, I think we've both been very uncomfortable talking about like court verdicts and like so what our opinion is about court verdicts till now. But I think it's time to actually delve into that. So we're not going to talk about court like verdict specifically, and we're not trying to question anything. We just want to like talk about draw parallel to a similar court case a few weeks back. That was about this woman who had accused an IIT, a man in IIT Guwahati, a student in IIT Guwahati, of rape and like rape charges basically. I'm not very clear on the details, but rape charges. And it was a very not historic, but very memorable kind of verdict. Because what the court said was that, we can't really convict him and we can't really accuse him of something like this. We can't put this on his record, basically. Because and I quote right now, he's an asset to the country. And if they do anything to this man's record, it affects his education, it affects his employment, and it directly, obviously, because he's a part of IIT Guwahati, it affects like the country's finance. So a woman was literally, I mean, if people couldn't understand, they just said that we're not even going to try fighting this case because this man has a future ahead of him based on his academic record. Because they looked at his marks and decided that he's an asset of the society, which is very problematic as a whole concept. Because when did marks ever measure intelligence? The whole conversation. But yeah, this woman was she basically never got justice. And we don't know if it's true or what, whether like it actually happened or not. Sure. But she never even got the opportunity to explore whether, justice could be served to her because this was like a counter argument given by the high. Or was it? I think it was Allah. I think it was some high court. Now I don't remember. I think it was Allahabad High Court, if I'm not wrong. Let me just Google. But it was some high court that said this. And yeah, Doreen, what are your thoughts on something like this?
I just feel like the future of one was sacrificed for another.
Yeah.
Because clearly, and I don't know how this ties into the fact that a man's future was chosen over that of a woman's, right?
Exactly.
And
that's the problem.
yeah, because even though abortion is legal in India, I think there's a lot of trauma attached to being raped, and
Definitely.
and there is
It was
so much.
High Court, by the way.
There is so much of changes that she's going to go through after this, right? Be it she decides to drop the child or not, okay? Whatever she decides, that's her take on it. But I feel like just the experience changes a whole lifetime for somebody else, right? And that's definitely affecting her future. And by not serving justice, I feel like that literally affects her even more. Even if he's proved to be guilty, like even if they're saying that okay, he's guilty, but we're going to drop charges. I mean, it's just like clearly saying कि हाँ तुम्हारी गलती है, but it's okay बेटा, तुम engineer बन जाना, right? And the whole idea of like the importance given not just to marks, but also a certain kind of profession, right? In a whole pool of people saying that doctor, engineer ban jana and like your life is set. Everybody knows the crisis that engineers are going at present. They're unemployed. They have a bigger job crisis than anybody else at this point, right? And how can you decide that they have a future? For if anything, they're a threat to the country more than an asset. Because it's literally leaving a rapist at loose. It's literally saying that somebody who has I don't know if he has the potential to be an asset to the country or a potential to be a great engineer with like amazing ideas. I think he has a potential to be a rapist. He has the potential to be a criminal. And I feel like not, I don't know. I think इसकी मम्मी ने भी like बचपन में सुप्रीम कोर्ट लेकर गई थी to say that for a tantrum he threw.
Yeah.
Because it's just heartbreaking to hear something like that. Because
So
anybody,
honestly,
just the last thing that I was saying was that for anybody who has ever been sexually assaulted, no matter how many years pass by and you look your predator face to face, eye to eye, or you pass them by on the street, or you even have a thought of them, right? And you see them existing, you just know that they're living their life. I think that just brings back everything that happened, and it like breaks you on another level. It just shatters you to think that, hey, this person is living their life after leading me to like after like being an obstacle to my better life. And I think it's just heart shattering. It's like soul shattering to an extent. And to think that a high court in India enabled that, for lack of a better word. They were like a catalyst to all of it, right? So just to think about that, it just, yeah, I don't think I can say it in a better way than to say that it just feels like justice is not served at all.
Yeah. The fact that they're excusing something as prevalent as rape, because they're
And
literally excusing it. They're like, Hanji, chalega, aap kar lo. But
up
at the
smart
end of the day, if you get, yeah, you like get a 1.4 per lakh per month wala job, and you are good to go. You're gonna excuse all.
Yeah. Another thing, isn't rape like a buzzword now? Right?
Yeah. So
Anything
IIT Guwahati,
related
like,
to rape, people want to hop
yeah,
onto
they
it.
exactly.
And other thing is that the whole issue of female liberation, female women empowerment, feminism in general, I think they're all like buzzwords today. Because I don't know how many people like think of a reality TV show like Big Boss. Something as dumb as that. Okay, something as commercial as that. And every contestant is scared that they might hurt a woman's sentiments, and they will be projected in the wrong light because they know the importance given to women for whatever reason in today's day and age, right? Like, while I will always say that, hey, let's like, the whole idea of feminism is equality, but for whatever reason, like, I feel like we've discussed in our previous episodes, being a female comes with its boons and banes, right? So people are scared of offending people. People are scared of like coming off. Um, People are scared of being cancelled, basically, right? And in a time like that, where like rape is a buzzword and feminism is a buzzword, think that a man is said that you can just go because you come in the merit list. कि तुम्हारे मार्क्स अच्छे हैं, चलो ठीक है, you have no potential of being a further criminal. You just learn ना बेटा, you शर्मा जी का बेटा, you just learn it, right? वापस मत करना, हाँ.
Yeah.
And it's the one case that has come to light, if you think about it. It's one that you know of.
Yeah. Even like IIT Guwahati like expelled the student after all of these things. But I mean, it's also to consider that the asset they talk about is also an asset about caste lineage, right? Because most of the people who do get into the merit list uh, come from a very privileged kind of category in IIT. It's full of people who think they can be, literally like basically yield power, and like just because they're a part of this institution, they can get away with anything because, like this government said, like the court said, right? They're an asset to the society. So I find it very crazy, right? Because everybody likes to talk about how we have so many laws about so many different things, but none of these laws are being implemented. And secondly, the same authorities that are supposed to make sure you exercise the rights you have, you exercise these laws that have been created to empower you, so you live a better life. They're not there in themselves leading these cases with personal bias. I mean, didn't we have a judiciary to the entire reason that they look at things from a very objective way, and they kind of correct, incidences that are not in society that are not correct, that are not in line with the majority ideology. Which person thinks it's okay? I mean, like, it's just very difficult for me to understand that a judiciary like this is involving personal bias. Their personal understanding that somebody from IIT is somebody with a future. And this prioritization of a guy's future being more important than a woman's life. I mean, I hate to sound like a 60-year-old right now who thinks that, a woman's entire life is just saddy and whatnot, but it's true. You have ruined an entire facet of somebody's life, which is trust and getting the partner. You've not ruined it in terms of biologically. I mean, in terms of psychologically. You've ruined that person to like get that kind of psychological connection again. Because things like this happened and it's very difficult to move on from things like that.
Yeah.
So for you to just say that just because somebody is going to earn monetarily, they're an asset of the society. And I mean, this was a country that was built on the socialist framework. This was a country that was built upon the betterment of every individual, no matter what kind of caste or class they come from. That was the idea. What is this capitalist thing that we have are running after right now, which is just like, yeah. If you earn, you are like my favorite boy, and if you don't earn, you like suck, like die in a ditch. Nobody's gonna care if like a bus runs over you or whatever. It's just a very insane kind of prioritization the court, a judiciary has given to different parts of the population, right? It's horrible.
Shivangi, it's also very Brahmanical in nature as well, right? Because everything that the upper caste is associated is with like intelligence and knowledge and wisdom and all of that, right? Like the whole idea of using the brain, using brain power, as compared to like other castes who are like using manpower, like human power for whatever, but like using your strength and using like other assets of your body. The idea that he was an asset because he was able to prove that he was quote unquote smart or intelligent by getting into IIT Guwahati, which also raises the standard that hey, you can only be good if you are a part of an institute like that, right? Like we spoke earlier, as you very rightly said. But I just bring this up because you mentioned how many facets of privilege that you can see, not just also like financially, because I don't think getting into any IIT or like being able to sustain yourself is going to be of any use if you cannot financially back it up. It's expensive, right? Uske upar se like the whole idea of like knowledge being superior than anything else. Like tum dancer ho, you have no potential, let it go. I don't care.
It's not even knowledge, it's academics.
Yeah.
That's the difference that they have kind of misinterpreted academics as knowledge. That's the problem.
Yeah. But that's what I was saying, like how that relates to like the Brahmanical or like the caste point of view of what is superior and what is inferior, right? And yeah, those are like the two major things that you can see, two major facets of privilege. Then again, of course, the whole idea of like masculinity and gender as a privilege, all of that coming in. So, and the ability to have the mental space to fight something like this in court, right? Uske upar se the ability to have to live your life after all of this, the ability to sustain yourself after this. I believe that one Google search, like imagine if the charges are dropped and the record for this guy is cleaned, right? It's only going to be for this guy, if I'm not wrong. And imagine them going to, and was this girl from IIT as well?
I don't think she was.
Right.
I'm not sure what the details. Let me look it up. But from what I remember, she's not.
Yeah. Imagine this guy going to an employer and they do like one search and they find nothing on him. But if this girl's record isn't clean and she shows up as the girl who reached court and filed a case for rape, for what? Like, and I think it is a fact that if you have any such thing on your record, I don't think employers are very, especially a set of employers who are like very male dominated. If your panel is male dominated, I don't think they're going to be like. She's
a fellow student at IIT Guwahati.
Exactly. So how is their future different? They're both literally in the same institute. Literally. That just worsens this whole scenario.
Exactly. This is clear patriarchy.
Yeah.
It's not about class differences anymore. It's patriarchy also led. Because this from the same institute, they went through the same admission process. They went through the same elimination process. So how can you tell me that a man has a better future than Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I think like this just really summarizes what we wanted to say in this episode, right? Which is just that does justice even exist, or is it just like a fiction anymore? Like, who is getting justice anymore? Please,
And
like, let us know. If you guys have any stories, if you guys have like any news articles you came across where the court did, sort of provide justice to a person, and somebody who's really marginalized, definitely.
hmm,
It's like not a Prashant Bhushan kind of case where you get 8 rupiah and whatnot. Not that kind of thing. Something really big, then we would love to host. You can
hmm,
just DM us on
yeah,
Instagram or wherever you get it.
and I believe there might be a ton of cases where the Indian justice system has outdone itself, and they have stood for everything that they say they do stand for. And I believe there are a ton of cases where the Indian justice system has actually done its work, and they've done it well, and they've fought um they fought social restrictions, and they fought the mainstream society's thoughts to provide justice, and we're pretty sure of that. But we're just saying that at times the perspectives can change, and we're just bringing those into light for this episode. And like we've said in our previous episodes, where we've stated laws that restrict the abuse of privilege, so we're all for saying that, hey, the Indian justice system does work, right? We're saying that, hey, it's not that they're all corrupt. We're just bringing a different perspective to light in this particular episode. With that, I
Yeah,
guess it brings us to our end.
yeah, it does. So for those who've stuck around till the end, thank you for listening to Privilege Check Podcast. If you like this episode, then please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't forget to follow us on our socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter at Privilege Check. That's PRIBILEGCHK. We also upload our video episodes on YouTube if you aren't watching this on YouTube already. Do follow us on YouTube as well. That's at Privilege Check. That's like Privilege Check Podcast again. And just run and light in life.